The massive alien spacecraft tumbled through the dark void of space, its once gleaming hull now scarred and broken. Inside, Una lay motionless, her breathing shallow and irregular. The ship's emergency systems flickered, casting dim red lights across the damaged interior. Shockho was the first to spot the falling object from the colony's observation tower. His trained eyes tracked the smoking wreckage as it cut through the planet's atmosphere, leaving a long trail of burning debris. The impact would be devastating, and he knew every second counted. The spacecraft crashed into a rocky valley about 5 kilometers from the human settlement. Dust and small rocks exploded outward, creating a massive cloud that slowly settled. Under the pale morning light, rescue teams mobilized quickly, their vehicles moving carefully across the rough terrain. When they reached the crash site, the scene looked apocalyptic. The ship's hull was torn open like a metal flower, its inner systems exposed and sparking. Most would have assumed nothing could survive such a violent landing. But J1, the colony's lead medical officer, noticed something different. A faint biosignal emerged from the wreckage. Carefully, the rescue team approached the broken spacecraft. Protective suits shielded them from potential contamination or unknown radiation. Cutting tools worked methodically to create an entrance, each movement calculated and precise. Inside they found Una. She wasn't human. Her body structure was clearly alien. Deep purple skin covered muscular limbs, and several additional appendages suggested a complex biological design far beyond human understanding. Multiple fractures were visible, and her breathing was labored. "She's alive," J1 muttered, his medical scanner working overtime to analyze the alien's physiology. The transport back to the medical facility was delicate. Special containment units were prepared, with advanced life support systems adapted to handle an unknown alien biology. Every movement was carefully monitored, every reading analyzed with scientific precision. Una's body told a story of endless conflict. Scars covered her skin, some looking like old battle wounds, others more recent and still healing. Her armor, what remained of it, suggested she was a warrior from a civilization that knew nothing but constant warfare. In the medical bay, J1 worked meticulously. Standard human medical protocols were useless here. He had to improvise, using advanced scanning technology to understand her unique biological systems. Nanobots were carefully calibrated, helping to stabilize her critical injuries. Days passed. The colony buzzed with speculation. Some wanted to send the alien away, fearing potential threats. Others were curious, seeing an opportunity for first contact. But J1 saw something different, a living being in desperate need of help. Slowly, Una's condition stabilized. Her alien metabolism was remarkable, showing healing capabilities far beyond human expectations. But her physical recovery was only part of the story. The psychological trauma seemed even more profound. The colony's leadership held multiple discussions. What do you do with a fallen alien warrior who appears to have lost everything? Military advisors suggested containment. Scientific teams wanted extensive research, but J1 argued for compassion. "She's not a weapon," he would say. "She's a living being." As Una remained unconscious, her body slowly healing, the colony waited. Something had changed the moment. She crashed into their world. Nobody knew exactly what would happen next, but everyone felt it. This was more than just a random event. A single alien, broken and lost, had just become the most important visitor their colony had ever encountered. The medical monitors beeped steadily, tracking Una's recovering vital signs. Outside the medical bay window, the colony continued its daily routine. But everything had changed. Nobody understood how much, not yet. Siokho watched from a distance, his eyes fixed on the medical bay's sealed doors. Something told him this was just the beginning of a much larger story. Una's eyes flickered open, revealing deep amber pupils that seemed to hold centuries of pain. The medical bay was quiet, with soft white lights creating a calm environment. Her body felt different, less pain, more stable. Something had changed. Hisu, a young nurse with gentle hands, was checking the monitoring systems when Una first moved. The alien's sudden motion startled her, but she remained calm. Years of medical training had prepared her for unexpected situations. "Do not come closer," Yuna growled, her universal translator converting her native language into clear, though broken human speech. Hisu smiled. She had seen fear before, understood trauma. "You are safe," she responded, keeping her distance. "No one here wants to harm you." The medical bay's advanced systems continued tracking Yuna's vital signs. Her body was healing faster than any human could, showing remarkable regenerative capabilities. But her mind seemed more fragile than her physical form. Jae-won entered, the room carrying a tablet with complex medical data. He noticed the tension immediately. Years of experience had taught him that healing wasn't just about physical wounds. Emotional recovery was equally important. "You crashed on our colony planet," Jae-won explained calmly. "We found you near death and chose to help you." Yuna's response was immediate and defensive. "Why? In my world, wounded enemies are eliminated. Mercy is weakness." Her words carried the weight of countless battles, of a culture built on survival and constant conflict. Hisu brought a small cup of water. She didn't approach directly, but placed it within Yuna's reach. Such a simple gesture, yet it spoke volumes about human compassion. Days passed. Slowly, Yuna's defensive walls began to crack. The medical team never treated her like a prisoner or a scientific specimen. They treated her like a living being deserving of respect and care. Byung-ho, the colony's nutritionist, started preparing special meals that matched Yuna's complex metabolic needs. Each meal was a carefully calculated mix of nutrients, showing scientific precision combined with genuine care. "Your body requires specific protein combinations," he explained one day. "We analyzed your biological data and created a nutrition plan to support your recovery." Yuna was confused. In her world, medical care was a calculated risk. Here it seemed like an act of pure kindness. Small interactions began to change her perspective. Nurses would speak softly, explaining procedures. Doctors would ask for her consent before any treatment. Nobody forced her. Nobody threatened her. One evening, Hisu brought a small plant to Yuna's recovery room. "This is from our colony's greenhouse," she explained. "We grow our own food here. Would you like to learn?" Yuna stared at the green leaves, something shifting in her eyes. A warrior trained for destruction was being introduced to the concept of nurturing life. The medical team noticed subtle changes. Yuna's aggressive responses became less frequent. Her questions became more curious. She started asking about human culture, about their way of living. Jae-won recognized this as a critical healing moment. Physical wounds were closing, but something more significant was happening. Emotional reconstruction. "We do not see you as an enemy," Jae-won explained during one of their conversations. "We see you as a living being who needs help." Those words seemed to break something inside Yuna. Tears, different from human tears but no less meaningful, began to form in her amber eyes. The colony watched and waited. An alien warrior, once considered a potential threat, was slowly transforming, and nobody knew exactly what would happen next. Outside the medical bay, life continued. But inside, a remarkable journey of understanding had begun. Compassion was working its quiet, powerful magic. The greenhouse gleamed under artificial sunlight, rows of green plants stretching across carefully organized beds. Byung-ho watched carefully as Yuna approached the first cultivation section, her movements still carrying traces of military precision. "Plants are like soldiers," Byung-ho explained, holding a small seedling. "They need discipline, care, and perfect timing to grow strong." Yuna's hands, once used for handling weapons, now carefully touched the delicate green shoots. Her warrior's muscle memory translated surprisingly well into agricultural techniques. Where she once calculated battle strategies, she now planned crop rotations and nutrient distributions. Her first lessons were challenging. Years of military training had taught her destruction, not creation. But something in her began to change. Each seed planted felt like a small act of rebellion against her previous life. "In my world," Yuna explained one morning, "we consumed nutrient tablets. Growing food was considered inefficient." Her fingers gently removed a small weed from around a tomato plant. Byung-ho smiled. "Here, growing food is about more than survival. It's about connection. The colony watched with curiosity. An alien warrior learning agriculture seemed impossible, but Yuna approached farming with the same intensity she once approached combat. Her strategic mind broke down each agricultural process into precise steps. Weeks passed. The greenhouse became her new battlefield. But instead of destroying, she was creating life. Tomato plants grew under her careful management. Herbs sprouted in perfect rows. Her previous military discipline transformed into something beautiful and nurturing. Other colonists began to notice her transformation. The woman who arrived as a potential threat was now carefully tending vegetables, her movements gentle and purposeful. Children would sometimes watch her through the greenhouse windows, fascinated by this alien who grew plants with such care. Jaewon observed her progress carefully. Her psychological healing wasn't just medical. It was happening through this unexpected connection with living things. Each plant she nurtured seemed to heal a part of her damaged spirit. Farming is about patience, Byung-ho would tell her. You cannot force a seed to grow. You can only create the right conditions and wait. Those words seemed to carry a deeper meaning for Yuna. Her previous life had been about forcing outcomes through violence. Here, she was learning a completely different approach to survival. The colony's communication expert, Sung-min, noticed something remarkable happening. Yuna was learning more than just agricultural techniques. She was absorbing human emotions, compassion, hope, patience. During one agricultural lesson, Yuna asked a question that surprised everyone. Why do humans help each other so much? In my civilization, individual survival was always the primary goal. Byung-ho explained community, showing how each plant in the greenhouse supported others. How some plants created shade for smaller ones. How different species worked together to create a balanced ecosystem. Her warrior's brain began to understand cooperation differently, not as a tactical strategy, but as a genuine way of existing. As summer approached, the greenhouse became alive, with color. Vegetables grew in perfect formations. Herbs spread their delicate leaves. And at the center of it all was Yuna, no longer just an alien warrior, but a gardener learning the subtle art of nurturing life. Her transformation was slow but profound. The weapons of war were replaced by gardening tools. Her combat training became crop management skills, and something else was growing alongside the plants, understanding. The colony watched quietly. An alien warrior was becoming something entirely new, not through force but through patience, not through destruction, but through creation. In the greenhouse under artificial sunlight, a remarkable healing was taking place. One seed at a time, the massive battleship appeared suddenly, blocking out stars in the colony's orbital scanner. Its metallic surface gleamed with weapon systems that could destroy entire planetary settlements in minutes. Alarms rang through the human colony, but something unusual happened. No panic, just calculated preparation. Yuna stood perfectly still when she first saw the ship's signature. Her former military commanders had found her. Years of training told her this moment would end in destruction, but something had changed inside her. Sung-min, the colony's communication expert, began working immediately. Complex communication. Systems were activated, translating potential communication channels. His fingers moved quickly across holographic displays, preparing potential diplomatic responses. They will demand my return, Yuna explained to Jaewon. In my civilization, desertion means total elimination, not just of the individual, but potentially of their entire genetic lineage. The colony's leadership gathered. Military advisors suggested defensive preparations. Scientists wanted data collection, but Yuna offered something unexpected. Complete, insider information about her previous military faction. Detailed star charts were displayed. Weapon system specifications appeared. Communication protocols were decoded. Yuna shared everything, transforming from a potential threat to their most valuable strategic asset. Sung-min worked tirelessly. Each communication attempt was carefully constructed. No aggressive language, no threats, just clear, precise diplomatic communication. Hours passed with tension building. The battleship maintained a threatening position. Weapon systems remained powered, ready to strike. But no attack came. Something was different about this confrontation. Yuna's previous commander, a figure known as Commander Kral, finally responded. His communication was direct and brutal. Return immediately or face total elimination. But Yuna's response surprised everyone. She didn't beg, she didn't threaten. Instead, she presented a detailed report of her transformation, her new understanding of community, and the potential diplomatic advantages of peaceful interaction. "We can be more than weapons," she transmitted. "We can be partners." The battleships. Communication went silent for hours. The colony waited, prepared but not afraid. Yuna stood calm, her new agricultural skills giving her an unexpected sense of peace. Sungmin continued monitoring all communication channels. His expertise in interspecies dialogue became crucial. Each word was carefully chosen, each transmission a potential turning point. Byung-ho brought Yuna a small plant during the tense waiting period. "Life continues," he said simply, "regardless of what happens." Those words seemed to strengthen her resolve. The plant in her hands represented everything she had learned: patience, nurturing, hope. Finally, a response came. Not an attack, not a demand, but a request for dialogue. Commander Kral wanted to understand how an elite warrior could choose a different path, how survival could mean something more than constant conflict. The colony's diplomatic team prepared. Yuna would be their primary communicator. Her insider knowledge, combined with her new understanding of compassion, created a unique approach. As the battleship maintained its position, something remarkable was happening. A potential war was being transformed into a potential conversation. Yuna looked at the plant in her hands, then at the massive battleship outside. Her warrior's training and her new agricultural skills merged into something powerful, the ability to see growth where others saw only conflict. The colony waited. The battleship waited, and in that moment of tension, something extraordinary was possible. Peace was not just a hope, it was becoming a strategy. The communication chamber was silent when Yuna finished her testimony. Hours of detailed explanation about human civilization transformed into something more than just words. Her story wasn't about war, but about understanding. Commander Kral listened carefully. The massive holographic display showed Yuna's journey, from a warrior trained only for destruction to someone who now understood the power of growth and compassion. "They taught me that strength is not about killing," Yuna explained. "Strength is about creating, about helping others grow." Her testimony included detailed recordings, scenes from the agricultural greenhouse, medical treatments that saved her life, community interactions that showed genuine care. Each moment challenged everything her civilization believed about survival. Sungmin translated every word precisely. The diplomatic team watched carefully. Something unprecedented was happening. An alien warrior was redefining her entire species' understanding of existence. The colony waited. Days passed with tension hanging in the air. Commander Kral's response would determine everything. Would they see her transformation as weakness or wisdom? When the response came, it was unexpected. A request for cultural exchange. A desire to understand what had changed Yuna so completely. Byung-ho prepared presentations about sustainable agriculture. Jae-won organized medical collaboration discussions. The entire colony shifted from potential conflict to potential partnership. Yuna stood at the center of this transformation. Her warrior's body now moved with a different purpose. Where she once calculated battle strategies, she now planned cultural bridges. The first diplomatic delegation arrived quietly. Alien representatives watched everything with careful eyes. They expected a prisoner or a traitor. Instead, they found a complex individual who represented something entirely new. "Compassion is not weakness," Yuna told them. "It is the most advanced survival strategy." Her words carried weight. Her previous commanders listened. Her testimony challenged everything they knew about existence. The colony celebrated quietly. No loud ceremonies, just a deep understanding that something remarkable had happened. An entire potential conflict had been transformed into an opportunity for understanding. Jae-won watched Yuna during the celebrations. Her smile was different now, softer, more human. She had learned more than just survival. She had learned connection. We are family now, Jaewon said, placing his hand on her shoulder. Those simple words carried profound meaning. Yuna's smile represented everything she had learned. Not just about humans, but about herself, about the possibility of change, about the power of choosing a different path. Her transformation became more than a personal journey. It became a bridge between civilizations, a living example that understanding could replace conflict. The alien delegation prepared reports. Scientific teams analyzed every moment of her story. But beyond data and documentation, something more important was happening. A new way of seeing the universe was emerging. Yuna looked out over the colony, the greenhouse where she learned farming, the medical bay where she was healed, the communication centers where diplomacy replaced violence. She was no longer just an alien warrior. She was a symbol of hope. As stars moved silently outside, a new chapter of interspecies relationships began, not with weapons, but with understanding, not through force, but through compassion. And at the center of it all stood Yuna, transformed, powerful, hopeful.